Who's some strangers to
Welcome back, folks, to Talking Sports with UW Thomas. I hope everyone is having a fantastic weekend. In the air tonight, Phil Collins. That intro's my newest guest to the Talking Sports with UW Thomas program, and that is actually one of our UW football players, and that would be place kicker or kicker Michael Stack. Michael, welcome to the program, man. How you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure's all mine. Absolutely. So, Mike, for my listeners and for my viewers as well, who maybe didn't see the game yesterday or were busy with other plans, UWL scores a season high 59 points and we're out to a 59-14 victory. Just give me, from even just a special team standpoint, your thoughts, impressions, and how you think the game went, and how the cold as well, because folks, it was bone chilling, I must say, out there for not only the players, but also the marching band as well out there, how that affected the special teams up. But start at least with initial thoughts on how you think the game went.
I think the game went great. It was a good showing of like what our team can do, both offensively and defensively. Took a little bit for us to kind of like settle down as a team. Like it is a big rivalry between Eau Claire and La Crosse every year, so they're going to come out as hard as they possibly can with everything that they've got. So once we kind of settled down, kind of did what we do well, like on offense and defense, we kind of got better acclimated to what we were trying to do. The cold, that definitely impacts, in my opinion, the kickers pretty greatly. Like the ball, like when you kick it, it's just more firm, it's less forgiving. You probably lose a little bit of distance. It is cold, just like trying to stay warm on the sidelines. And then it was just weird, like the week leading up to practice, it was kind of rainy. We had to practice inside a couple of days. It was warmer, so it's like you can't really get used to kicking in the cold as much. So it's a little bit different on game day. But as like a special teams like operation, like unit, like snapper, holder, kicker, and then obviously everyone that blocks for us, we all practice it pretty hard, take it seriously. So that's kind of the preparation that leads us into being successful on that unit, I would say.
Absolutely. So yeah, Mike, as you mentioned, a somewhat slow start to the game. What would you best say was a reason for the slow start? Like, looking at the game recap, refreshing back, to the first quarter, Tyler Bowman right off the bat, I should say, with that fumble. Eau Claire took over in their in Eagle territory and then went the length of the field, the rest of the length of the field. You know what I mean? Took a 7 lead. And that took them 11 plays, 57 yards, and 5:41 worth of clock. So that was a very good start for them to really set a tone for them. What do you think are some potential reasons why we started slow? I mean, I don't think it was anything like the pregame speech. I mean, Coach Janice probably had you fired up prior to the game. But what do you think are some potential causes or reasons why we started like so slow? If you had the reason.
Yeah, like you said, the Tyler Bowman with the fumble didn't help necessarily. One of the things that our that Coach Janice preaches is taking care of the ball. It's like our second like pillar, one might say, of like our team value. It's just taking care of the ball, forcing the ball out like on defense, protecting it like on special teams, like with punt and field goal and all that other just stuff. Just taking care of the ball because it can really change like the momentum of a game. And they drive down, score a touchdown. Kind of, it was a little bit of a shock to us. It's just like that it was just kind of like reality set in, one might say.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, these guys are here. It doesn't really matter what their record is or what our record is. They're here to play their best game of the year. Like I said, because it's the rivalry. I think just kind of settling in was just caused by just kind of like consistent like plays by our amazing team, like Kaiser, some pretty consistent runs. All of our wideouts did a great job defensively, some guys came up with some big plays. We had an opportunity with almost like with a pick six too.
Mhm.
That was close. That like obviously could have changed the momentum or like swing of the game, one might say. But yeah, just like some smaller things like that kind of lead to it all.
Yeah, but no, like I humbly believe that the second quarter was our quarter, and I really do believe, Mike, that that was our game-changing quarter. And
Mm-hmm.
once we really got going in the second quarter, I mean, looking at the game recap summary, we took our first lead, with about 10:33 remaining. Shane Lane, that INT. I think that really, in my humble opinion, of Rubidel's pass, 13 yards for a touchdown. I think that really set the tone for the rest of the game, honestly, just starting with that. Because, excuse me, when you get behind, sometimes it can impact team morale. And I think you probably would agree with that. I mean, on any front, whether you're on special teams, defense, you're on the D line, you're a cornerback, it can be hard when you get down. But, getting that lead, about 10 and a half and ish and change, before half, I think that really like set a tone. And then we drove Blugolds punt, we drive to the 1 yard line where Kaiser hit Dryden Schaefer for that 1 yard pass. Um, just talk about, in your opinion, what you think taking that lead. Yeah, like I mentioned, like how much like it impacted like the rest of the game moving forward and leading eventually to that blowout win. Like,
Yeah, it definitely just got the ball rolling. Like it was just like,
right.
okay, we can settle down. We're here to do what we usually do, play
Mhm.
good offense, play aggressive defense. Um, just kind of do what we usually do. And then like those electric plays, seeing Schaefer score was awesome. He's a great teammate. Seeing Kaiser have such a good game is not surprising considering how good he is.
Yes.
It's just awesome to see like such a good leader like that have a good game. One thing I would also say, like team morale did get kind of low when our center was injured, like with
Yeah,
his
Noah
hamstring.
Coleman.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you can, just for our listeners and viewers, just to get some exclusive insight, I should say, what actually happened to Noah, man? Yeah, how bad is the injury? Out for the season or what?
after he came off and he said he's going to get an MRI on Monday. So we're not 100% sure, but they don't think it's broken. If it's broken, he's probably out for the season. If it's not,
Ooh.
he's uh hopefully it's not. He'll probably just kind of not practice as much and
Yeah.
just tape it up for game day and
Mhm.
I don't say hope for the best, but kind of push through the pain.
Okay. Yeah. So you can confirm to our listeners and viewers that it was a knee injury, indeed, right?
It was his ankle.
It was ankle. Oh my. Yeah, that's especially important, I would say, for sure, Mike, as a center. So definitely prayers
Yeah.
and his thoughts with Noah.
Especially because he's one of our leaders. Like he's not just an
Exactly.
outstanding player on the field. He's a great captain and a great leader.
Oh,
So
absolutely. 1,000% would agree. Like I've seen him around, I've been to a couple practices, folks, and have been able to say hi and what's up to him, after practice. And he just brings, I would say, Mike, a good charisma, like a good vibe energy that he embodies
yeah,
off. So losing a guy like that, a leader on the offensive line will be hard, but
yeah.
some step
To
up.
comment off that, Watson Allen stepped up really well to his job
Mhm.
of taking over. He did a good job. I don't think he had any from what I could tell, he didn't have any mishaps. So I'm glad that he stepped up to that big task, and we're looking forward to playing River Falls next week.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we'll get to River Falls here in a little bit. But UWL, we had 562 yards of offense, 175 rushing, 387 passing. Mike, my next point for you is just talk about how dynamic our our rushing and rushing slash running attack has been this year. Considering like last year we had excuse me, what's his name? We had a great rushing and running attack too, led by
Joey Stutzman.
yeah, Stutz. Yep, that's who it was. Like, talk about how we've really made the rushing and running attack known even more so, I would say, this year, even after losing a guy like Stutz and
Mm-hmm.
some of our other guys for sure. Go ahead.
I would say it's just like balancing both, like when he gets his rushing attempts or like any of his scramble runs, it just keeps the defense on their toes. Like how do you game plan for a guy who's so both quick, athletic, good at throwing the ball. And then when you also have really solid running backs, it's tough to like know what to do as a defense going against us, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. My next point for you, Mike, is Kaiser Helterbrand. I just want to get your thoughts on as we near the end of the season here, we have 2 weeks remaining in the regular season and playoffs. Again, definitely looking, folks, to our listeners and viewers, like they're definitely forthcoming for this team. Don't want to jinx anything, obviously, though, of course, for Mike or any of the rest of the fellows, but definitely look like we're heading in the right direction of that. But just talk about what Kaiser has just. I asked, Coach Matt Janis about this too, but I want to get a player's perspective. What has really Kaiser meant to the team in terms of leadership, leading the offense? I mean, I know, of course, you're on special teams and really only get in there when Kaiser and the guys don't really punch it in for 6 or something. But just talk about like what Kaiser brings to the team, his poise, behind Noah and the rest of the O line, and just how dynamic and really confident he has been, I guess is the best word I can say, leading this offense this season.
I would say he means a ton to the team. He's one of those guys that stayed in lacrosse for the summer, led a bunch of like team, like captain led workouts, like throwing on the field and running and lifting, all that stuff to keep our team like in good physical condition. But then also like character wise, he's just like, he stays calm and collected on the field, and off the field, he doesn't tolerate like, he's just a great guy. Like his character is so good. He hates attention, but in my opinion, he works so hard to like put the best product onto the field, and he does that consistently. And it's not like he's doing it for the attention. He's just doing it because he loves the team, and he's just a great guy for the job. He's awesome.
Oh, 100% agree. Yes, it's going to be tough to replace him next year, but I mean, if you look at the roster and some of our second and third stringers on the quarterback side, I mean, we have a local standout, and Aiden Larson. We got as I pull up the roster real fast, you got Zach Weir, who really has shown some great flashes. I'm sure you would agree there, Mike.
Yes.
I know they put him in for not a couple plays, a good portion, I would say, of the second half in that Whitewater game, in which you kicked the game.
He did a phenomenal job that game. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you got Riley Warzinski, that sophomore, Gabe Herman, a freshman this year. So really the QB room moving into next season, I hate to even think that far ahead, folks, to our listeners and viewers. But if you look ahead to next year, I mean, if I had to guess and read Coach Janis's mind, Zach is probably going to be QB1 for sure, based on what I've seen in the flashes and everything. But really, the team in the quarterback room looks really good. And that leads perfectly well into my next point. Mike, a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores, especially with this blowout game, got some experience both in this game and actually in some games earlier this season. Just talk about what you think, from your standpoint, from player perspective, what impact that has both on the team and also, again, like I mentioned, as we are nearing the end of this season, playoffs are coming around the corner as we head into next season too, how impactful that will be for some of these like second, third, fourth stringers, really getting some quality playing time in preparation for the 24 football season.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. They can go out there and prove that they belong on this team, that they belong on that field with some more physical and like coaching development. For me, last year, I got 3 kickoffs against Stevens Point at one of our home games, and it was like the highlight of my year. Like it was just like being on the field was so much fun. Like it was just like, it's hard to describe how exhilarating it is to really be out on that field again, in that setting, and to see, like you said, a lot of freshmen got some good playing time on special teams. Just a little shout out to Carver Cram. He went to my high school. He did a great job on kickoff, had a couple of tackles, and just did a good job playing DB as well. So it's just awesome to see freshmen out on the field, comfortable and like still playing well. Yeah.
Heck yeah. 100% agree with that. So, Mike, I do want to transition and just from a player perspective, preview our last two regular season games against River Falls and Stevens Point. Looking at River Falls, 7-1 overall this year, 4-1 in the conference. I believe they're right behind us in the standings because I know we're undefeated in conference. So a really quality opponent coming up. Look at their like non-conference schedule. Holy crap! They absolutely beat smoked Mary Hardin Baylor 45-22, and they 75-3 win non-conference against a Northwestern team in St. Paul. Looking at the their WIAC schedule, they beat Eau Claire 49-7. They absolutely beat the living heck out of Stevens Point 75-14, and just this past week 49-35 against Stout. If you can't catch the theme here, folks, to our listeners and viewers, they can score points based on what I'm looking at. So you got a heck of a good opponent coming your way in River Falls, which, don't get me wrong, when we played Oshkosh and won in really close fashion in that nail biter, I'm sure, Mike, you would agree too. We got a really quality opponent coming our way. So, Mike, just give our listeners and viewers kind of a preview of what we think, what we could expect when watching that game on WKTYsports.com/video this coming Saturday.
Yeah, I'd say any WIAC game is going to be tough. You're going to have to bring your A game if you want to do well. Sorry about that. But especially for River Falls, it's going to be pretty similar to like a Whitewater or like an Oshkosh game where it really just comes down to a couple plays here and there.
Right.
It's going to come down to the fourth quarter. It's going to be a close one. And obviously there's going to be a lot riding on it for our team that we're all really excited about.
Amen. And then looking at Stevens Point as well, kind of a transition year, 1-7, 0-5 in conference. They've kind of struggled a little bit, lost their first non-conference game. Oh, geez. Oh, my. 77-9. Some tough losses recently. Yeah, if in case you didn't hear about that, Mike. More recently, 24-17 loss opening week in WIAC play, 51-10 loss to Platteville, 51-14 loss to Stout, 75-14 loss to River Falls, 66-28 loss to Oshkosh. But don't get me wrong, like you mentioned, and of course, like Janice mentions, every game in the WIAC is a battle. So just give our listeners and viewers kind of some insight on what you think Stevens Point, the Pointers, will present. Again, maybe this year may not be their year, but don't get me wrong. In past years, they have been very, very good at times in some years.
Yeah, they're definitely going to give us like their best shot. It's the last game of the year for them. They're not going to let us just walk away with an easy win. It's going to be at their place. We like as our team, we can't really go into it with like the mindset of like, oh, we're gonna get the win, like no matter what. Like we've got to prepare like we prepare for any team and do our best to go there, execute, and get the job done.
Absolutely. I got just two more questions for you here, Mike, before I let you go. One of them is I have to pay homage to it since it was senior day for yesterday's game. Just talk about the impact again, as we already mentioned Kaiser, but the rest of the seniors and the impact and leadership they brought to the team this year, and how you think our current juniors will be seniors next year. I didn't do my research. Apologies, folks, and count how many juniors we currently have, but I think it's a lot. Excuse me, but just talk about the impact that the seniors have had on leadership and just the team in general, and what you think our current juniors who will be seniors for the 24 season will really provide for the team this upcoming 2024 football season. Go ahead.
Yeah, every year it's definitely like a big question, like who's going to step up and be the leader. The seniors this year have all done a phenomenal job of stepping up, and I'd say almost all of our seniors have taken on some sort of a leadership role, whether that's leading by action in the weight room, doing all of the reps to like great effort, just being great guys, good teammates, leading well on the field as well. Very talented players that we're gonna unfortunately not have going forward. But I remember feeling that way my freshman year going into my sophomore year. And it just seems like every offseason, guys step up, guys put in the work. So I think, like you said, our strong junior class, we got some young guys that are honestly really good too, that will step right in. We'll have new freshmen coming in that are always hungry and anxious to get on the field. So it's good competition there. Just awesome it's exciting I try not to think about it though, about next year, because our goals are still very much going strong for this year.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I know Coach Janis, he put out a tweet early in the season, him and the UW football team's Twitter of, what was it, 37-4, something like that he preaches.
35-4.
35-4. I apologize. Yep.
Okay.
We're doing a little bit there, Mike, but no. Final question here for you, Mike, before I let you go. Talk about this amazing coaching staff we have. Not only your coach, Coach Weefel, but talk about not only Coach Anderson with his 50 years coaching overall, many of which have been in the local Cooley region with the Central High School Riverhawks, and of course here. But just talk about let's just show a little love to this amazing coaching staff we have. Some of which are graduating, like Alex Stumpner, assistant coach of tight ends this year, and just let's shine a little light on the amazing coaching staff we have. Go ahead.
I think we have a ton of amazing coaches, like you said. They're all so valuable for so many different reasons. A lot of them are volunteer coaches or like student coaches that aren't getting any compensation for being there. They're there for the amount of time that we're there and more, because they're watching film, they're analyzing, they're game prepping. All of our coaches put in so much time. Janice is sending out film from 10 to midnight all the time. Like, guys need to watch this, watch that. He's on top of his film. His Weefel's been sending out, as our special teams coach, he sends out analysis stuff on games and like preparing for different special teams stuff that we're going to see week by week. Coach Larson, he's just the kicking coach. He just works with the kickers, punters, and snappers. He's awesome. He dedicates a ton of his time just to help out Coach Frank. There's so many, all of the coaches on the staff all have like their hearts in it for like the right reasons. So it's a great environment and I love it there. Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, Mike, I do want to say thanks again for coming on the show. And for our listeners and viewers, just as a soft reminder again, Eagle football, 1 p.m. this Saturday, November 4th. Again, as me and Mike previewed, against River Falls, a very quality and should be a very, very good game. 1 p.m. WKTYsports.com/video. They'll have the broadcast of that. And then the following week, Saturday, November 11th, that'll be the final regular season game. With the fellows going up to Stevens Point to play the Pointers, same time and same platform, WKTYsports.com/video. So once again, Michael Stack, kicker for the UW lacrosse football team. Thanks again for coming on the show to talk Eagle football. I hope you have a great week, brother.
Of course,
great
thank you. Yeah, you too.
Prep, and best of luck against UW River Falls. And of course, to close the season off too against the Stevens Point Pointers. And as always, Mike, go Eagles.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure.
Take care.